I didn't think I was going to be making a video this week. To be honest with you, I have been down in the dumps. You probably seen my videos in the last few weeks have a certain tone. I've been struggling, dealing with some real serious setbacks and some impending deadlines, and I have not been feeling like myself. I have been suffering in my own head and struggling to get out of it. And I've noticed during this time, I've noticed during this time a reemergence of an old phenomenon, which is the desire when I wake up to immediately start playing video games and fill my time with gaming. Ah, I've been so good in these last few years about putting video games in the right place for me, which for me usually means end of the day, sun is down, I'm too tired to do anything productive or interesting or be useful to people. And I use the last few hours of my day to blow off some steam, hang out with some friends, and play some games. It's been awesome. And I've been doing that, but it's not been enough. This feeling that I've had is something along the lines of I know I need to devote my energies somewhere today. And God, pouring them into creating a new build for a character or figuring out a new progression tree or working on my skills in one game or another just feels so attractive compared to doing the hard work of dealing with the big problems in my life. It feels so seductive. And I haven't been perfect. I have been doing a little bit of daytime gaming. Um, Today I'm feeling a bit better, at least better enough to talk about this problem. The reason I think that many of us get stuck in these loops of gaming being the problem and then the solution to the problem being more gaming is because we come into it incomplete. I think about the relationship advice that I often hear given, where there's this sort of old romantic notion. Maybe it's not that old, maybe like from the 90s or something. The idea of a romantic partner being someone who should complete the other person. You complete me. It prompts the idea that somehow an individual is not enough, is incomplete, and the way to solve the problem of completeness is by adding in another person. Essentially, by leaning on that other person to make you better, make you the person you're supposed to be. I do think there's something really incredible about what people can be when they come together. Certainly see it in my own relationship with my wife, but when we rely on an outside party, even if it's the most intimate outside party in the world, in order to make us feel okay, in order to make us, then when that person is not doing that, when that thing is not there, what are we? And I think video games, for a lot of us, and for me too, have been this thing where we get into a relationship with them, with these worlds, with these characters, with these communities, right? I think that when I'm in my worst moments, when my ego is feeling on its last legs and near death, when I'm sure that I can't possibly take on the challenges that the world is throwing at me and that doing so would not get me anywhere, that it's pointless, then by contrast, the meaning that is available in these gaming worlds feels so attractive and accessible and hard to deny. And the worst part is that if you do fall for this seduction, if I do fall for this seduction, it makes the problem that got me there worse. If the problems in my life are big and I escape into video games, the problems in my life aren't going to get smaller in the long term, are they? They're probably going to get bigger. So, what do we do about this? Well, for me, it seems like I've been able to work very slowly over many years on a lot of these problems and get to a point where I rarely need games in this way now. Rarely do I need them. But during this time, I have. During this bad time, I have. So if you're like me and you've gotten on top of some things and you have a system that works and you find it failing, buckling, and you find yourself tempted back into the seduction of these online worlds that'll transport us away from the problems we need to deal with in life. What do we do? I'm looking for answers here. Let me tell you a couple of things that have been, I think, helpful to me during these past few weeks. Actually, it's not a couple things. It's been one thing mainly. Well, maybe two. So the first thing is keeping doing the things that used to make me feel good, even if they don't make me feel good anymore. So going out for walks every day, eating food that's good for me, all the good habits in my life, just keep the faith, keep doing these things. They worked before. Just because you feel like crap now doesn't mean those weren't good ideas. And one of the worst things that going through one of these dark spells can do is erode the good things that we built up before we entered into the period, I think. The other thing, and probably the main payload of this video, is to remember that we're not alone. My wife and I, our relationship has come so far in the 10 plus years we've known each other. Our 10th anniversary is coming up this summer, actually. And I think we're now at a point where we perhaps are stronger as individuals than we've ever been in our relationship. We are less reliant on each other to be okay in our basic day to day interactions than we ever have been. And it's gotten me used to this idea of this feeling of being very self assured, self capable, able to regulate my own feelings and emotions. And as things have been not going my way lately, I have, for reasons that I can't explain, been surprised at just how impactful it's been to share my life with this amazing woman. Uh, and the things that someone who loves us and knows us can tell us to help us remember who we are, to help hold the idea of the person we are when we don't feel like that person anymore. Because that's what happens during these hard times. We don't feel like ourselves. That vision of who we were before the dark times came, it's like, who was that person? I was fooling myself. I'm not really that person. I'm really something much lesser. I'm a faker. I'm faking being that person. But the people who know us, who love us, can remind us. It doesn't just have to be a wife, it can be a good friend. One of the big stabilizing forces for me during this time has been streaming at night for you guys. Thank God for you guys, for being there to help me feel like Deeg. Um, and I've also been reconnecting with some old friends, people who knew me forever ago. And I have found the value of those relationships, of not going it alone, of not committing the error of thinking that I am enough to take on life's woes because I so obviously am not. Not even close. And what an idiot I was for trying to do it alone. What a fucking moron I was for thinking that I had it figured out. It was all me and that I had it on lock. God. Gamers. You know, I suppose there are many, many reasons why people play games, and I don't think the games in themselves are a bad or evil thing. Um, but they certainly are this thing that feels very seductive to those of us who are fluent in their language to go to when we don't feel like ourselves, and when it seems like the better thing to do is to be someone else. But the people in our lives can help us remember the good person that we are. If you don't have people like this in your life, find them. How do you do that? It's very simple. You just spend a lot of time around someone. Join a club, go to a class, go to an office. It honestly almost doesn't even matter. That's the magic of human interaction. We're social creatures, and we're best off to not forget that. Don't go it alone, folks. And please, if it ever looks like I'm trying to, remind me that I'm a fool and that I should not try to go it alone. All right, my good friends, please take good care of yourself, be good to each other, and I will see you very soon.